are you supposed to like go in happy, knowing that it's girls and knowing that it's probably not going to end on a happy note?
Well, I mean, because that's just not what we
Yeah,
do
that's not
over
what they
there,
do, yeah.
and it's not really what happens at that point in your life.
Yeah.
You know, like I've certainly been in that position more than once where you think that something else is happening, like you think something is more serious than it is,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I guess we're not. Okay, we're not. Great.
Sad face,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
fine. That's totally fine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I was familiar with the feeling, but it was nice to. It was just it was great to get to play that as Elijah.
What did Lena and Jenny sort of say was the inspiration for the storyline? What did they
really
map
liked,
out for you?
Well, they really liked the idea that one of those characters was going to get pulled sort of out of the friend circle a little bit. I mean, if you look at all of their relationships in this last season, I think they were all sort of attempting to sort of better themselves and push themselves in a different direction. And, you know, with Shoshana going to Japan and with Marnie getting married, and we were all trying this. So I think Elijah's sort of out of this current situation was sort of dating somebody above his status a little bit. So they said they were going to find, you know, it was going to be a character who was very wealthy and very powerful, and just sort of see how Elijah, if he could, sort of rise to that occasion.
And did you sort of have a talk with Corey beforehand? Like, did you guys meet beforehand and talk a little bit before you started shooting, or how did that introduction happen?
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to have like a coffee date or something before we got on set. But he also, my background is predominantly theater, or all theater, as is Corey's, and so we rehearsed in a way that was much more similar to doing a play or something. And it was just we sort of took it upon ourselves to run this material beforehand, which was really great, because then by the time that we got on set for the first time together, we had sort of gone through it a handful of times, that it felt like we kind of knew each other in a good way. And it was
important.
It was, and it was also helpful that, I mean, that first thing we shot was my meeting him in a bar. And then the next thing, then a couple days later, we shot our first date.
Can we talk about the dates? It's like a rom-com fairy tale.
It was a rom-com
Times Square.
fairy tale.
Talk about shooting that.
Well, that was pretty incredible, because it was, we had to shoot it obviously very late at night, because it's Times Square. And we had one steady...
Were all the crazies out or no?
The crazies were still out.
Okay.
We had one steady cam that weirdly was like... kind of disappeared in the crowd a little bit.
Oh, interesting.
So a lot of people were watching. There's still a lot of tourists. It was probably like 2:30 in the morning, I think, on a Friday night. But people were looking at us, but not seeing the camera. It was very strange, because normally I think people's eyes would go to like, oh, there's a camera there, but no.
They try to be in the scene, like.
So we had a couple takes where we would kiss, and then somebody would yell, "Peter Russo!" Peter Russo! And then we would walk. We didn't, they didn't end up using the take the way that we shot it, but we would kiss and then like walk, and then we would kiss again and keep walking. So we walked like a city block.
Wow.
And they had us just, sort of our backs like walking away. So we would get like a block away, and people would come up and be like, "Oh, you're funny," on whatever. Like, "Hey, Peter Russo," like yelling at him. And I was like, you realize that people just think we're dating. Because the camera is so far away, and now we're just holding hands and walking. So they're like, "I didn't know that guy was gay."
And then it's it's on "Oh no, you didn't" and stuff like that. Yeah.
So he was like, "Oh yeah." The saddest part was that while we were filming that is that the off-brand Times Square characters were still there. And I don't know if you've been to New York recently.
He was
Dirty Elmo?
Oh.
Yeah,
I was going to say Naked Cowboy. Was he there?
No, Naked Cowboy. No, even he has time limits.
Okay.
No, but apparently Hello Kitty was still there. Like a Ninja Turtle. Yeah, they were still out there.
Did you take photos with them?
No.
They didn't. That's sad.
No, I couldn't.
Oh, I understand.
I couldn't do it.
But I mean, that was a pivotal episode, and I want to talk about, we obviously got a very steamy and sensual sex scene, and
or violent and awkward. I don't know. It depends on how you want to look at it.
It was intense.
Yes, intense. Let's go with that. Let's go with that.
Talk a little bit about that, because with girls, when it's never just like a gratuitous sex scene, it always is a scene. It tells a story.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what your discussions were with Lena and Jenny about what they wanted to get across, and just filming that.
Well, what I loved about that episode, the way it came together, is where we juxtapose, Dill and Elijah having sex for the first time with Adam and Jessa having sex for the first time. So it was two of these what should seem like really magical experiences,
yes, exactly.
for these four people, because it's been, like you said, it was sort of rom-com-y for Dill and Elijah, and it was all this tension and build-up with Jessa and Adam, and then to have that first time, which often it is. It's not. Doesn't go perfectly. So I loved the way that Jesse Parrott's the director of that episode, that he showed that, because it was just really, I don't know. I just loved how sort of awkward and honest and real it was. Because even though so it didn't go well, but then after the fact, I think there was there's a scene of Elijah sort of taking in what could be his life, and Jessa sort of doing the same thing with Adam. I just thought it was a nice way to end that episode.
And did it feel like a total polar opposite from what we saw with Elijah and Marnie in the past?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, that Elijah and I love that scene. It's like one of my favorite memories of girls ever. Because Allison is so great, and we're friends, and so it was so much fun it was awkward, but also weirdly easy and fun to do. Okay. So yeah.
We're gonna take a question from Twitter.
Okay.
Abby asks, who's been your favorite boyfriend for Elijah since Girls began?
Well, I mean, Dill, even though he broke his heart, I would say.
Yeah.
Dill is the one.
What did you make about how everyone was sort of guessing or trying to imply that Dill was modeled after Anderson Cooper?
Well, I mean, I feel like there's, he could have, technically, Dill could have been like a record executive or a television producer, or, I think that it was important to give him a job and sort of a place in the world that was, I mean, the fame thing helps, because I think Elijah is such a fame whore anyway.
And he was very attracted to that,
So that was important. But I think it was just to make sure that character had a job that was like so far removed from what they all did, was important. I mean, look, there's a lot of gay reporters out there.
Yeah. You're kidding.
Right?
How about the scene where they're, at the restaurant having this very magical date?
Yeah.
And Elijah sort of goes, if this is something where I don't meet your friends, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, look, I mean, I love that scene a lot, because it does. I mean, and I think, not that Dill is a sociopath or anything, but he really did mean it. He meant, because what he says to Elijah is that you're better than that, which that's what everybody dreams of hearing, right? It's like somebody saying.
Yes, exactly.
And as I said before, that was like my second day with Corey, so it was a very I was like, are we acting?
Were you hypnotized?
I was, because it really is. It's like, it was such a well-written scene and such a nice twist for Elijah, because he didn't expect that.
And then there's the party scene in another episode.
I know.
And you're just getting a drink, and now I never want to go to a bar again, because I don't want to hear something like that, where it just goes on and on and on. You think it's going to stop, but no.
No, that was my friend Ryder Doyle, who's who's a real great actor and writer, and he, that was just like it's a crazy thing, and I think. I mean, I haven't had that exact thing happen, but I've had versions of that happen where you're like, oh, I don't need to know the backstory right now.
Yeah.
I liked my version better. Yeah, and this stranger just keeps telling you bad things about someone you're dating.
And then the moment in the bathroom, what was that like?
That was hard. I mean, I really liked that scene. Richard Shepard directed that episode, and I love the way he did it, and I love the way that we sort of shot it into the mirror like that and everything. But I really liked, again, this season, I loved that I got to sort of play a vulnerability with Elijah that we haven't seen before. And again, it was sort of a precursor to that second to final episode. He really is trying to put himself out there, and he's trying to be honest, and he's trying to be more of an adult.
Right.
And unfortunately, that was just not the guy to do it with. but he tried.
Because would you have been able to like go to this guy's work and say what Elijah said to him? Like it was so.
Would be like
hard.
if somebody showed up here, quite frankly.
It really would be.
Has anybody had that happen to them?
But it was like he like wore his heart on his sleeve, and they both had like watery eyes, and it was like even though you know it's not going to happen, you just have this small glimmer of hope, and then he's like, "I'm not looking for someone aimless." It's just like.
Terrible.
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 Not great. But fun to act.
Fun to act.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Did you like how that sort of ended? Did you like that Elijah sort of said what he wanted to say?
Absolutely, because I feel like even if it doesn't end well, you obviously you want to, play all your cards and give it your best shot. So I liked that that's where we ended rather than him sort of like holding it in. And it was fun for me to play that moment just because it was something that we hadn't seen. And I think that it's going to be important going into this final season that we've already seen him take a swing at this. So I think it puts him in a much better place for our final season.
Okay. We got another question from Facebook.
Oh, from Facebook.
I didn't ask this. Would you ever go full naked on the show?
I mean, I trust Lena, and I trust if she wrote that in, it'd be for a reason, but I think there'd have to be many conversations.
Many conversations. I didn't know that lawyers are involved with these scenes.
Oh, hell yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you get any kind of naked on television, you sign a nudity waiver that says nudity waiver, and you negotiate exactly what you're showing and what can be shown.
I didn't know it went like that deep. I knew there were like talks. I didn't know.
Oh no,
all
it goes
of that.
deep. You got it. Yeah. I mean, Hollywood it's built on lawyers, my friend.
Well, Maria on Twitter asks, where would you like to see Elijah end at the end of season 6?
I mean, I would like to see him happy. I would like to see him with more of an idea about what he's going to do with his life, and I would like to see him on the upswing. I think that we ended season 5 here with he's not in the best place, clearly. Although I love those scenes I had with Peter Scolari and with Becky Ann Baker, who play Hannah's parents, and I love those moments. But yeah, he's not in the best place emotionally, so I'd love to see him on the upswing.
Well, that was my thought. I'm like, okay, if the show has to end, like, can we get the spinoff with either Elijah and Ray, Elijah and Marnie, or Elijah and Hannah's parents?
I like what you're thinking, because I like the common thread.
Yes. Well, right.
I'm a real fan of your
Which would you think would be a more lively show?
Well, I'm intrigued by the idea of an Elijah spinoff with both Hannah's parents. I would like to explore that and what that looks like.
I love those scenes with you guys.
I do too, and they're so great.
They're very sweet.
Yeah, and they're just fantastic actors. And so that was a real treat to get to do that with them.
And when do you guys start production?
Next week, actually.
Next week.
2 weeks, yeah. So we had our first table read this week, so we kind of got a glimpse of the first 4 scripts of the season, which is very fun.
Okay.
And always exciting to get to sort of see what Lena and Jenny have been working on, and great to see everybody again. And so, yeah, so I'm excited to get back to New York.
Does it feel real yet that it's...
No, not at all. And I probably will not until closer to when we wrap. Because we still have a lot of work to do. You know? I mean, we have a full season to shoot here. So I think that it won't feel sad
yet.
Maybe even till after, I mean, who knows?
Have you kept in touch with Corey?
Yeah. Well, Corey works on a show up in Toronto, and he had a sort of a big personal year in that he got married and has a baby, and so but I hope to meet up with him again in New York. But great guy.
And how about what you're doing on the side? I mean, we saw you fill in for Jonathan.
On the side?
No, we saw you fill in for Jonathan.
Oh,
on
theater.
Hamilton.
You made it sound so dirty.
Well, we are talking about girls. I can see how you would go there.
So I've been very fortunate because, my career started on Broadway. And I've been really lucky in the past few years to find projects that sort of work within our girl schedule. So I got to do Hedwig and the Angry Inch a couple years ago, and last year I did a very brief stint at Hamilton on Broadway. And then coming up after we wrap in August, I'll go into production of Falsettos on Broadway, which I'm really excited about.
That's like, does it feel like super chaotic, all of this, or it all works out?
I love it. I mean, I really, I love to have a busy schedule like that, and I feel very lucky as an actor to be able to look at a calendar and say like, well, at least I know what I'm
Yeah.
doing, because I had a lot of years where that was not the
Yeah,
case.
yeah.
So it's nice to know like, oh, okay, I know what the next several months look like. And you know, I was always nervous when I started working on television a little bit. I was nervous that I was not going to be able to go back to Broadway with as much frequency as I would like. So I feel incredibly lucky that I can still do that.
What show should we see the next time we're out there? What's out right now that?
Well, there's there's so
I don't
many
think I
new
can afford a
shows.
ticket to Hamilton right now.
Well, I mean, they do that lottery every day.
I know.
You know, there's so many new shows. You know, Sarah Bareilles has written a musical
that's
called
right,
Waitress,
yeah.
which is really great, and Steve Martin and Edie Brickell have a musical called Bright Star, which is supposed to be great. Jessica Lange is in Long Day's Journey into Night right now,
She's
which
this goddess.
seems amazing. So I
Yeah.
can't wait to see that. The Crucible with Saoirse Ronan. I just
Okay.
wanted to promote that because I could know how to say her name properly. Saoirse. So there's tons of stuff. I'm excited to go back and get to see those shows. 'Cause,
Okay.
yeah, this is a big season.
Well, we have a question from Cam on Twitter about your theater work.
Hey, Cam.
Hi, Cam. How did you manage to keep a straight face during the King George III scenes?
Well, I'm alone on stage. If I made myself laugh, it'd be a pretty sad state.
It would be awesome, though.
It would
Yeah.
be great if like, I just cracked myself up. But that I have to say, like, because during the Book of Mormon, Josh Gad used to make me laugh all the time, and it's one of my favorite and most unprofessional sensations is
Laughing in
fully
the middle,
laughing on
yeah.
stage in the middle of something. It's the greatest rush, and also makes you feel so terrible. But no, Hamilton in that sense was easy because it was like it's just me out there, so it's a weird job.
It's such a surreal experience getting to be in that play.
It was
musical, yeah.
because you didn't really relate to anyone else, and this whole huge, brilliant show is going on, and then you walk out on stage alone and do this little bit, and then you're not
Yeah,
really
right,
connected to
right,
anything
right.
else. So it's very, it was a very strange, very strange experience. A really great one, and it was really fulfilling. But yeah.
What was the moment you broke down in Girls with laughter this season? Was there a scene that you just couldn't get through, or?
Usually stuff with, we only had one scene together, but Eben Moss-Baccarat in his wedding episode, the first one, that guy just makes me laugh. And like, I don't know what it is, but I don't know. I just sometimes can't look at him because he's so good on that show. It's such a weirdo.
Well, since you know about the first 4 episodes,
Yes.
give us one word without spoiling anything to describe what's coming up with Elijah.
With Elijah?
Yeah.
Alcohol.
I like that.
Yeah, and the second word would be underwear. It's always like so shocking when you start to look at things and you're like, okay, I guess not dressed.
No
Or
clothes. Yeah.
we did a reading and then we had a fitting, and you look at your costume fitting and it's like hangers
Just
with underpants on it,
underpants.
and you're like,
Nice.
well, I guess I'm not eating.
Well, you didn't dress like Lance Bass today.
Isn't that lovely? Wait, can I tell you something about that
Tell me.
shirt?
Tell me. That
It's a
shirt
true
was
story
amazing.
that I've not gotten a chance to repeat to
We're
anyone.
breaking it here. Tell us.
That was an accident. I put it on. It was actually a shirt for Allison Williams. And it ended up in my character's closet. And I put it on, and we took the picture, and no one caught it. And then Lena was like, I really like that. And it was a shirt for Allison. But I wore it.
That's the best. That's the best.
Yeah. And it would have been a whole different look on Allison Williams. On me, I look like a sausage.
It was amazing.
It was ridiculous.
Well, guys, you heard it here first. Andrew, thanks so much for
Thanks
joining
for
us.
having
It was
me.
a
Thank
pleasure. And you guys, I think we have a chat coming up tomorrow with Gael Garcia Bernal if you want to tune in. Thanks so much for joining us.